Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. 1 minute here. We've got everybody lined up here in the panel. Thank you for everyone for joining us. Just getting a couple things set up, and we'll be right with you.
Hey,
That looks like
Blue
Falcon
Falcon's
Rad.
here too.
This is Marcel Rad.
Ah, wow. Nice.
It's like you can feel his mustache blowing in the wind.
Wow, that's some nice shots there.
Thank you, sir. Marcel Rad. What's up, CMYK? Speaking of mustaches.
Oh yeah. CYK is quite mustachioed as well.
Brandon Baked Beans. Blue Falcon Aerial. Welcome in, everybody.
I mean, this makes me want to go back out west. Just
Yeah.
go fly the mountains, man. Like that. That's really sweet.
Tell me about it, man. I'm so jealous of his mountains.
Every week it changes, too.
I'm just
I know.
jealous of the
Yeah,
blue.
Yeah,
I'm just jealous
shut
of
up
the
about
blue
it already.
sky.
We'd be happy to have you, Don.
I'll be there in a minute.
And this is part of
Pick me
the
up on-
video series where you choose your own adventure. So you guys
Pick me up on the way by, Don.
Let's get her going here, guys. Welcome in, everybody in the chat. And we've got a bunch of cool people here waiting for us to say hello. We've got our normal friend here, Danzilla. And we've got our friend GingeFPV, both from Ontario, as well as our two guests, Don Joyce and the first Squadrone. Welcome in, everybody. Bamo, bamo. I'm not sure how to do it individually, so I just, everybody at once.
Oh, that'd be fun.
But, yeah. Bam, bam. OBS could do it, not StreamYard. We've had Don Joyce in here before. If you guys remember back in September, we did a little update for everybody. So if you haven't checked that out, go back and check that out. But we're going to do a little bit of an update from him today, as well as we've got First Squadron for the first time here, and he's over in Vancouver Island, and he's going to give us a lot of awesome information and tell us more about himself in a minute. We're going to play a couple videos real quick. And then, of course, we welcome in GingeFPV, our new friend over here, also from Ontario. So thank you very much, First Squadron, for being here and not having an Ontario takeover stream. And we'll keep BC represent here.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, we've got one here from, I want to play a couple videos, then we're going to get into the serious combos. I just want to make sure more people come in and all that goodness. Check out this one from Mr. Ginge here. And if you want to tell us a little bit about the video or whatever, we're going to turn the volume down a bit so no copyright strikes or everything. But yeah, welcome.
So I bought a GPS drone, and I ended up junking a GPS drone doing some flying with the PID toolbox guy in Kingston. So I picked up a new one. As I hadn't really done any long range a couple weekends ago. Beautiful, bright, sunny day. A little chilly, but I was like, let's see how far I can go. And I'd gone out, my first pack, I went out about 900 meters, and I was like, this is pretty sweet. And I was like, let's try this again. I'll do 120 frames a second. There's no stabilization, no gyro flow on this. And I was just like, I had seen this farm, the stable. This is Battersea Road in Kingston. So I was like, I saw this stable on the other side, and I was like, I wonder how far that is away. Let's go see if we can fly over there. So yeah, I went for it, and I think it was about a little over 1.5 kilometers of flying.
Wow,
nice.
So it was nice, and like I've been always kind of scoping those new areas in kind of Kingston because kind of running out of spots to fly.
Yeah, right.
I was in Kingston yesterday. I popped over to Wolf Island for the first time. Yeah.
I'd like to go over and do Amherst Island as well as maybe a couple of the turbines on Wolf Island. That'd be really fun to do.
Yes, I thought it was in the
Any
Netherlands
wolves?
when I went over there. So many windmills.
Yeah, there are a lot.
I didn't know that. Whereabouts? I'm trying. Oh yeah, Kingston's closer up to Ottawa area. I'm trying to remember. I didn't really visit Kingston a lot when I was in Ontario.
Kingston's at the
Kingston
east
is-
end of Lake Ontario.
Yeah,
Right at the east end, right where the Thousand Islands starts.
right.
I'm not.
And
Sorry, I'm
go ahead.
not in Kingston very often, so I take a chance to fly whenever I'm there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely made a nice trek.
I'm trying to do a bit in Ottawa, but it's kind of hard with the restrictions that are in place here.
Right, totally.
Government no-fly zones and stuff.
Yeah, and you can't. It's not like you can just go show up in a park and fly. There's a lot of bylaw restrictions. So,
Which we'll get into later on with Don.
I think that's like Washington D.C., right? I don't think you can fly a drone anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, you can. It'll just get shot down. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll end up in front of a judge.
Yeah.
I don't think you even think it'd be the FAA at that point. It'd probably be like Secret Service. You don't want to get in trouble with the Secret Service.
No.
It's like here in Canada, it's one thing to get you pulled over by a cop, but as long as it's not RCMP. If the RCMP is looking for you.
Yeah, CMYK got his first Ender 3 Pro coming. Yeah,
Ooh, that's the one I've got.
getting addicted to the 3D printing community now.
Those are such strange. I'll call them blobs on the ground there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether they're impressions or what.
I'm not really 100% sure. I've done a couple of flights in this area. I did another one about a kilometer out in Glen Burnie, but from a different road from where I took off from.
It's almost like it dips in the land that has maybe a little bit of water in the.
It's swampy in that area that I was flying over. So
That's what I was thinking. Are they wet spots where the vegetation's a little bit different because it's a real sloppy spot?
Speaking of sloppy
Close to
spots,
the
I've got a video called Spotted Lake that I put out not long ago. And that
Sloppy,
video is
good
awesome.
segue. Speaking of
Really
sloppy
good
spots,
video, actually. It's got a lot of views, and it's a native reserve land area, and it's called the Spotted Lake. Literally, it's called the Spotted Lake. I forget it's
not the sloppy spots lake.
sloppy spot.
Okay, it's just as well.
Sloppy spots. That's never mind.
Hey, I know that church.
Yeah, here we go. This is kind of your newest kind of flight that I've noticed on your channel. If you want to give us a little tidbit about that.
it's a cute one.
Yeah, so this is a little church in a village near me, the village of Roblin, Ontario. It's just south of where I live. That's my car, that red truck there. And it was purchased recently and converted into kind of an arts center. The woman who owns it, I stopped in and had a chat with her, and she's converted it to an art center, renovated it all inside, and she lives there, and it's quite cool. She had a display of art. I think it was from an artist in Toronto, just kind of abstract kind of clouds and stuff. It was very cool. But I stopped in. I'd never met her before. I stopped in, banged on the door, and said, "I want to film your church. Is that okay?" And she's looking at me like, "Are you an axe murderer?" So once I kind of calmed down myself and her, I said, "No, seriously, I have a drone. Here's my card. The light is perfect. I'd love to film." And she said, "Fine, but I'm leaving." So she was leaving actually. But so I did this after helping my sister clean up her new house. That's why I have a trailer on the back of the van. So it was just kind of, hey, look at this.
All your drones
opportune.
What's up, fun?
Yeah.
Anybody?
He's got a trailer full of drones.
Yeah.
A trailer full of drones. That's it. No, just the
Just
one.
launch pad.
I probably had two. You never know.
Yeah.
This was a Mini 4 Pro. But doing this shot, it took me 3 tries to do this shot, and it's still kind of wobbly. And the difficulty was, and you can see them just to the left, the hydro lines are, I think they're about 6 feet away from the steeple. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find a spot to do this.
Was it shaky because of something mechanical, or is it just in the playback,
just
or
either the drone or my thumbs, one or the other?
It looks like prop wash, like little bits of prop wash as you come down through that turbulent air.
Nice ending
really
there,
nice.
man.
It's very cool.
You could sell that to her.
Awesome. And I believe we have the next one from Mr. First Squadrone here. Welcome in, buddy.
Ooh, Nanaimo. Send us some bars.
So go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Sure. Well, I got into drones a few years ago, about 4 years ago, after I recognized that what they could do, because I started off my career in surveying and mapping. I became a geomaticist. I went to Camosun College and did mapping, and then after I'd done that for about 10 years, I went into film school, and then I proceeded to get a master's in computer science. So for me, drones are a combination of all those things, the mapping, the film, and the computer science. And then I decided to get into the training aspect of it, so I could, parlay my experience into drone education for future pilots in the commercial realm. So
Awesome.
and
that is a really cool recipe.
Yeah, I spent some time at SFU at the Excite Lab, which is kind of like Canada's MIT, which where we kind of research the future and that kind of thing, the smart cities and that sort of thing. And so, yeah,
that's really cool.
That is really cool.
So let me ask
a cool
you something.
combo.
If you had an opportunity to fly in a drone, like one of these, whatever they call them, the little air taxis, would you do it? Top question.
Oh, sure, I would.
Good for you.
Welcome in.
I mean,
I'd
like
go
one
for a
that-
ride too.
Yeah, maybe one that you could do a flip in or do some barrel rolls in. Yeah,
Definitely a flip. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are those freestyle, like that racer ones that they try to come out with?
Yeah, like a little more like racer style. You do some freestyle. You know.
There is a company
moon.
trying to start up like manned multi-rotor races.
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
that would be fun. That might be fun.
Pod racers.
Yeah, and there's that one girl who's an FPV pilot. She was hired to fly one of their test vehicles.
I'm okay with pod racers because I've never seen pod racers with open props and like huge props.
Yeah.
Like no way.
Yeah.
Dump that thing and get like that situated. Otherwise, there's no way I'm jumping in an FPV.
Basically like a motorcycle race with props.
It'd be like going to the Isle of Man and watching the races there, but with more danger.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice footage.
No, thanks.
There you go.
That's a beautiful spot out there.
I like the end card with the drone and the flag. That's great.
All right, so we've got a little bit of information here, a couple of videos about the RPAS certification.
Oh no more cars.
But yeah, if you wanted to explain a little bit about the certificate and system that you have going on with your channel and stuff, we're trying to promote your channel too as well. Maybe we can get you.
Yeah, appreciate that. I appreciate that.
31 people, guys. So check them out on YouTube. Link is in the description, or not in the description, but in the welcome in everybody. Subscribe to First Squadron. It's got up to at least 100 tonight. And yeah, Let's give him a little bit of talk room here. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, I used to be a scuba instructor, so I'm used to, I teach people how to use their equipment and clear their mask and all that sort of thing. And one of the things about scuba diving is that the organizations that teach scuba diving, like PATI and NAUI, they formed for the purpose of basically keeping the government out of that hobby or that activity, because they didn't want people going and offing themselves diving, in the ocean and stuff. And so far they've managed to do that. They've kind of kept the regulators, because they've come out with good education and good training so that people could dive safely. And for me, I think that's that's what I think. So I created AURA, which is the Association of Unmanned Remote Aerospace, for that purpose, just to be an educational format and standard to create good training, right, where you actually know what you're doing, and like how to clear your mask. We go through, or I create a standard of training for flying. Like the first thing is learning the sticks, just like you'd go into the pool and learn skills. I take people out in the field and I teach them the skills of flying their drones. And then we have the classroom sessions, which we talk about regulations and the laws, and they can ask questions. And we, the idea is that by the end of it, they can operate commercially safely, and under the regulations, and that way keeps the regulators out of, hopefully out of that realm, because I think that is the problem of regulation. I think Don would agree. He's talked about that quite a bit. And I think something like this is needed, because I think the education of drone piloting is lack, in the point that it's going to cause the regulators to come in and make changes to, that we may not want, right? Like, they'll just keep regulating
the government is.
Right. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If things go awry, if kind of a twist on your name, your company's name, if things go awry, the government is likely to increase the amount of regulations, or tighten things down, or increase the amount of enforcement. And that would suck, because the regulations that we have right now are in many respects overboard, certainly far too prescriptive and specific than they need to be. And so it's pretty easy to break the law when you're flying a drone,
or not even know the law. That I noticed a lot of organizations don't realize that, because I've seen areas where there's a real lack. Like I created a visual observer course, and everyone that goes through my program, they actually get a visual observer certificate. Because there's a lot of regulations about being a visual observer, and it's not like you just go to your neighbor, hey Fred, you want to watch me fly? They actually have legal responsibilities, which can carry 6 months imprisonment, $5,000 in fines, right? So I encapsulated all the training for the visual observer as part of the training. When they go out in the field, I pair up the students. One will be a visual observer, and the other one will be a pilot, and they help each other out. And I find that I actually get a much better result, because they'll even help each other with move your stick this way, or it helps with the training, because you got two people kind of figuring things out as they go. And so the thing is, when you understand what it is to be a visual observer, then you won't make those mistakes. And if you look at the accidents that have happened in Canada, it's been because of it's been cited that there was a visual observer wasn't trained or wasn't watching, that kind of thing, So it makes sense. And the way I formatted it, the way I created it was, it's a free course, the visual observer course itself. And what you do is you go and you write, you watch the videos. There's a 25 question exam. When you pass that, you get a certificate. And on the certificate, there's a signature for a pilot to sign. So you're a visual observer. You go work with a pilot for a few visual observance sessions. When that pilot feels that you're ready, they sign your certificate, and then you're now a visual observer. I equate it to being like a flag man. So now you can work as a visual observer. And not only that, though, like as a pilot, you're supposed to make sure that your visual observer is trained. and that's a regulation. If you miss that regulation, right, like you could
Yeah.
be, you could get 6 months in prison, 5,000 fine. I mean, that's what the law states. I don't doubt they would do that, but
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
you know that your visual observer is trained, and it also says that the pilot has to make sure they're trained. So that's why they have the authority to sign, in my opinion. So
That's I like that kind of peer relationship, and it's almost one of these customer supplier kind of deals. You know, I don't accept your goods until I've seen that you're good enough.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to just some arbitrary, you know, exam somewhere. You have to prove to somebody that you're good enough.
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of like a flight review for a visual observer,
Yeah.
but in the field, right? So
Yeah.
So what you're saying is my mom isn't good enough.
or your dog, right?
My neighbor's dog would be an excellent visual observer. I
Yeah.
trained her, and
Yeah.
when she wakes up, she's good.
Yeah, and there's another area that I think is missing is what I would call the executive operator. If you look at the regulations, it's kind of written that there has to be one person that kind of manages a drone program. Now, as individual pilots,
Mhm.
you're the executive operator, right? Like you have to make sure the maintenance and all the crew are trained and the visual observers trained, and you know everybody's in. You know their licenses
You're
are
the
out
pilot
of
in
date.
command.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, like, so, but if anything goes wrong, Transport Canada is like, okay, who's in charge here? And because that's the person that they want to talk to.
Mhm.
So I think, so I've kind of worked on developing the executive operator as part of the program as well. Like, you know, for the pilot, that they should get some training because, and I wrote Transport Canada about this, is that I felt that, that the flight review should reflect a little bit more about what it is to be executive operator, you know, like because of that, because I find a lot of organizations don't realize that they got a pilot, they, oh, this is Joe, but nobody's really, you know, at the point where they're the manager. But I think that will come. And like, if you got a 50-man operation or 100 pilots, or, you know, you're doing deliveries or, you know, that kind of thing. There needs to be somebody in charge. If you look at the regulations, make sure that everything.
In the newly proposed regulations, there's a whole slew of things around the so-called ROC. Probably RPAS is the R, operator certificate, and it ties in exactly with what you're saying, where you have to have an executive in charge of the whole operation, somebody responsible for maintenance. I think there's somebody's
right. Yeah.
Safety,
Exactly.
maybe? And I don't know. Remember all the things. I'm more into the recreational side, so you know, I looked at that and it's like, yeah, that's great for the guys who have, like you said, 50 pilots and you know, 100 drones, and they're doing pipeline inspections and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's important to have all that
Interesting
stuff in place. Yeah.
I mean, I noticed that I get like surveyors coming through. Like there's a lot of surveyors. There's a lot of like cinematographers that come through the course, and you know they tend to be into bigger organizations. Like a survey firm might have 4 pilots, you know, doing the mapping and stuff. And I think that's just going to increase. I think that you know, with the RTK systems getting to like sub-centimeter, you're going to see that's going to replace, and then RTK you know, networks all over Canada coming. Pretty soon we'll have, you know, geomatic data, just fly over it. You've got models. And so I think that's going to evolve. So you're going to see a lot of industry, like engineering firms, where they're going to, you know, the drone thing is going to sort of take over, which I think is, you know, the future. So that's why I think it's, you know, it's a good career, I think, to get into, because I think that it's going to replace, you know, conventional air transport. Even, you know, passenger airplanes eventually, I think, will be all remotely controlled.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about it. You know, the drones taking over and all this in the context of surveys and mapping and all that. I was talking to a young woman just this afternoon. She asked me to do a little speech for her organization, and she said she was she was a GIS analyst, and you know, as before we had the little chat, I said, well, I think the first thing we should talk about is what the heck is a GIS analyst? And, you know, because I knew what GIS was. I could probably geographical information systems.
Yeah, that's right.
But, you know, there's a position called a GIS analyst. I don't know. Yeah, I never knew that. So, we're talking away, and she says, yeah, the organization is about 1,300 people. And it's like, what? I've never heard of a GIS analyst before, and you're saying there's 1,300 of them in Canada. That's amazing. And she showed me some of the stuff they did, and like you said, they fly the drone over, and like 2 seconds later, they have a mosaic stitched map of a relatively large area, several square kilometers, down to she was saying that the simplest thing they do is 5 centimeter or sub 5 centimeter accuracy, and just like that,
wacky.
Yeah.
The future is here.
The future is here, and the drones are taking over.
It's actually it comes down to the pixel. Like if you're doing photogrammetry, if you have so much distance between pixels, and that depends how high you're flying, right? And then also ground control stations to tie in your grid. I actually worked as a GIS analyst for the city of Victoria, so
I've met two today.
Yeah, I got a certificate for it from the University of Calgary Survey Engineering Department. So
awesome!
Yeah.
How small of a device could you put on a drone? Is it something really heavy that you would have to have? No. Is it like a?
Well, it's all sensors, right? Like you can do photogrammetry just with pictures, right? And the sharper the better, right? Because of the pixel definition, right? But then you got LiDAR, which is basically it reflects beams back to the unit, and it gives you a 3D map, but it'll cut through trees and stuff to give you a truer aspect of the ground.
I think I need to get one for my long range drone.
Yeah, I think that'd be.
They're heavy. They're big.
To cut my lawn.
People are doing photogrammetry with pretty straight up systems, though. Like basic photogrammetry, you could do that with a mini, can't you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you just need the images, and then they can do 3D modeling based on you put little geotags on each image, and then they can map it, and then the software will do a model. In the old days, you'd have like two images, and then you'd have the stereoscope, and then you would you could, based on the focal length, you could calculate your topology, right? And but now you just put all those images into a computer system, and it'll generate.
AI does it,
like Metaform or Drone Deploy. They do 3D maps.
I've seen Drone Deploy.
Yeah, so
it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
with my course, I'm actually I'm going to be doing multiple semesters. The first semester is getting your license, learning to fly. The second semester is more like going into software that's used with drones, and that would be like your 3D modeling software. And then, but if you're and there'd be some cinematography, like editing with Da Vinci, that thing, because of my film school background. I went to Vancouver Film School, did their media production program there.
Wow.
So but anyways, so the software, like for editing and doing the film work, that would be another path for the program. And I'm looking at like 8 months, 4 semesters, and then with a possible, at the end of it, executive operator course for those that want to manage the preceding career areas, right? But I think that there's a real need for well-trained pilots that can do, whether if you're going to go into the surveying and mapping path, or if you're going to go in the cinematography path, or the management path, or security, or police work, that kind of thing. I think that, because I'm looking at directed study for the third semester. Second semester be software, because I look at a drone's a flying camera, right? So I look at it as you have to understand the abilities of that camera, and then the software that relates to that media, and then you really are a media creator when you've got your drone, right? You're creating these these videos or these map data or whatever it is you're collecting with the sensors, right? You're creating a product at the end of the day, and so the ability to look at the tools that are out there with your drone is very powerful, and that's what I saw So kind of from my background, right? Like, I didn't think the drone, to me, it was like when I saw
EBR.
drones,
Wow.
I thought like, this is what I've been kind of preparing for my whole life, right? Because it kind of matched up with computer science. All my interests is kind of collected, in the drone industry. So, and then the scuba diving training, I enjoy getting out with the guys and we have a good time, right? It's and that's so much different than like if you go to other, like that's the problem with, I think, with education is you just go in and they say like, oh, well, don't learn on YouTube, come to our site. But then all they do is give you videos and quizzes, right? I mean, you're not talking to it's not any different than YouTube, really. You're not talking to a real guy. No one's showing you how to clear your mask or, set your controller or anything.
Stuff, and physical is definitely needed in today's environment.
I think
otherwise you get lost real quick.
And well, that's if we don't, right? Then the regulators will come in because people are not trained. In my opinion, they're not properly trained to like, the first day is the day you're going to crash your drone, right? Like, I think I was out at a chat last night, the Drone Pilot Institute, which is in the US. And one guy said, I got my Air 2S today. And I flew the first day and I flew it directly into a tree, right? Like that's, so without the training, without somebody there, right? You just crashed a $2,000 drone, right? I mean, it's, I think that
part of the learning curve on drones, though.
Well, unless you got somebody to teach you, like you don't do that with cars, right? You don't say.
I definitely have a jar of electronics sitting at home on my desk, and it's about this big.
FPV. That's FPV.
And that's like FPV parts that I've like ESCs, flight controllers, things like that. Things that I've destroyed. Air units of all things, Vista digital systems that I've tanked having crashes.
I've got
but that's a different.
I've got a box that filament comes in that I put all that stuff into.
But you're right. I mean,
but if you know how to like fix all of those things, if you can learn or teach people how to fix, blow a motor off of a DJIS or one of the Mavics, and then all of a sudden you can put that motor back on by ordering those parts. That skill in its own is perfect because it gives you that troubleshooting background. Yep.
That's definitely the advanced part of the hobby, I would say, for this kind of situation and for what he's talking about. Like the more like these are all like definitely like DJI type and like big rig type scenarios. A lot of like freestyle and stuff and like whoops and stuff. I wouldn't think that would all be the exact same course and stuff that maybe you would have, or do you have like another side to like, because I've seen your video for Squadrone about like getting into FPV, and I think you did like a year ago or something. So obviously that's kind of like a different part, and like EBR says, what, crashing never? Like, but we built our drones to crash. We don't really build them to. But yeah, there are chances when you have like a Cinewhoop and it does something silly and
My plans for the third semester is when you're going to go into maintenance, and I think that building a drone, like soldering it, and an FPV drone, it would be. But I also think that, and I think that you guys will all agree, is that when you fly FPV, you become a much better pilot. Because you have to be. You can't just let go of the sticks, right? You're controlling every aspect of that drone, and when you after flying FPV and you go back to now you're rolling, and you're not so reliant on the systems within the DJI drone to keep you flying steady and straight. So
it's much like RC aircraft. You can't just kind of let go of the sticks in that kind of environment either. Very much you are flying as opposed to moving a camera around in a three-dimensional area.
Oh, manual mode, they call it. Yep, totally. Awesome. Yeah, good question though. That's right. What do you guys think about the whole DJI banning thing that's happening to the United States? Do you think that's going to cause anything to actually happen, or you think it's going to be not a big deal? I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think it's all just going to blow over, but I'd like to hear what you guys think, because it's obviously a big part of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's certainly a 100% a political game as opposed to a, there is an actual risk. There is, with no way around it, no way to secure the information. That's all baloney. I mean, the information can be secured,
Right.
and so from an information perspective, it's politically driven. From a parts and all that, because there's a lot of there's not only the drone itself, but there's also drives to stop importing parts from China and things like that. That's again very, very politically driven. So will it go away? Well, yeah, I mean, politics goes away, doesn't it? Never. So I don't know. Is it going to stay in the States, or will it dribble over into Canada in some way? That's really hard to say. I don't see it happening, but you never know. With politics, it can swing in a minute.
Totally. That's a good start, I guess, to your DPAC course. And maybe we'll start off quickly that you have some T-shirts available. You want to shout out?
Yeah, so the Drone Pilot Association of Canada, where's I can't even point at it. The Drone Pilot Association of Canada, people have been clamoring for shirts, believe it or not. And, we are nonprofit, completely non-monetary, in fact. Like, we don't have any tangible source of income. It's all volunteers, all the rest of that. But people want shirts just to show their support. So we put together a deal with a company in Winnipeg to offer shirts. They're silk screens shirts, polo shirts, like golf shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and safety vests, all of which have the DPAC, damn it, DPAC logo on it. And you can optionally get them to say whatever it says on the back of mine.
Certified nerd. Nice.
Certified nerd. That's right. You can say certified nerd.
It says kick me.
Yeah.
Kick me.
Kick me now because I'm flying. So you can optionally get that on the back of any of those products. And so there'll be a link. If I could remember what the place is, I can put it in the
our YouTube chat for you there. DPAC printed-shirts.ca or -store.ca.
Nice.
I got my certificate. I think everyone should. That's a good course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got mine as well. I believe
Good for you.
that is.
Yeah,
I
so
have not yet. I've been lax.
Yeah, so that's the shirts. They're nice shirts. And we went kind of for darker colors in all of these different offerings, because otherwise they have to make two different kinds of silkscreen, and so it got more and more expensive as we got more variations. So we went with white print on dark colored stuff.
Nice.
And then the classic safety vest too. I like that.
Yeah.
Can I get one for my mom?
Get one for your mom right now. There you go. So she can be an official visual observer. Yes.
A visual observer, yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the requirements, is that you have your safety vest. So
So you can all take advantage of the visual observer course. You can just send them to the website. Anyone you got working with you. Yeah. It's for every pilot in Canada.
That's fantastic. I'm going to check it out myself.
Yeah.
So if you have a link to that for Squadron, there's a private chat, or if you want to put it in YouTube chat, either way.
Sure. Yep.
We'll get those links sent out for you, buddy.
Great.
And you mentioned, Marcel, the DPAC safety course. So we've worked on that for, almost a year. I mean, not obviously we haven't been doing it continuously. As I said, we're all volunteers, so it's been evolving and all the rest. And the idea is, the trigger for it, let me start with that, is that we don't believe that any of the Transport Canada material, particularly the exams, target, and I think you said it as well, target any sort of safety mindset, any sort of practical element. None of that stuff. It's all very academic, very regulatory oriented, and not that much about safety or basic stuff that people should really know. So springing off of that, we looked at the trust exam in the US, which is put out by the FAA, and it's very similar to what we've done. It's some basic information in a an information, questions, answers. You get your feedback immediately. That kind of a format. We looked at the equivalent thing in the UK for the CAA stuff. They've got a very similar sort of format where it's a training program, not a testing to see if you know how much snow you're allowed to have on your props. And so what we did is we pulled together a set of material that would be appropriate for Canadian drone pilots, and tried. It's mostly towards the camera drones, but there's some FPV stuff in there. There's some RC plane examples as well. Not a whole lot. But we pulled it together. We had a webmaster who was brilliant at kind of formatting the whole thing and putting it together professionally. And we think it's a good system. We submitted it to Transport Canada to see if they would agree that it meets the requirements for a recency course, and it does. So if you pass it, that meets your recency requirements. And if you're new to that kind of thing, when you pass the Transport Canada exam, and in the case of an advanced, once you get your flight review done as well, your certificate, your pilot certificate it never expires. This is the weirdest way to set up a certificate that I've ever seen. But essentially, they say it never expires, but after 2 years, it's no good. So every 2 years, once you've got your certificate, you have to basically refresh yourself on the knowledge by doing one of several different forms of recency. And so now the DPAC safety course meets that requirement. You take that, it's free. You get your certificate, you staple it physically or virtually to the back of your pilot certificate. And that's proof that you have done something to refresh your knowledge in the past 24 months.
Well, I'd like to add that's the best way to do it too. It's the easiest, most convenient way, and you're actually getting some good training on safety. I mean, if you're getting close to that 2 years, cost nothing, just do it. I mean, it's keep your license up to date. Definitely the best way to go.
Totally. And the DPAC course, I'm guessing, is updated like every year or something at least too.
Well,
I'm sure you've done a couple upgrades.
It will be, but I mean, we just came out with it. 2 months ago, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It's fresh.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to be a part of it.
Exciting. It's so exciting.
Danzilla, you better get on it. And I think Ginge is already on it, so you're the only one out.
Yeah.
You need to get
I never said I was on it. I haven't gotten it to it yet.
Oh, right. You have that's right.
I've just been waiting to see if all the cool kids do it. Make sure it's cool first.
Oh, yeah. You got to make sure.
I mean, I got
it is cool.
Another thing that I think I mentioned about Don is his app, which is great. As a flight reviewer, I really encourage my students to get his app, because we have to make sure that you check off a whole bunch of things on the flight review, like you can judge distances and stuff like that, but you got all your procedures and lists. It's all in his app. So if I know somebody's got that app, I don't have to worry that they've got the paperwork. They've got it all in that app. It's set up perfectly for that. So I really encourage my students. Now, you have to be careful, because some flight reviewers will not accept it. I think I wrote an email to Don about that, just so he's aware of it, because I had some students or some candidates who had failed with other flight reviewers just for the reason that they had it on an app, which to me makes no sense, because they meet the regulations. You have to have a checklist. It doesn't say it has to be on paper and regulations.
Yep.
So I just say definitely encourage you to take a look at his app for if you're planning on doing your flight review, but just for having it for for flying, right? It's perfectly set up. I'm very impressed with it. When I see the students going through their checklist, they hit every mark, right? So it basically really helps you with your flight review for sure. Yeah.
And of course, those checklists are customizable. So, you know, if you want to change the wording or add something or take something out, it's all there. Yeah. So thank you for the plug. And also, by the way, I don't know what the count of flight reviewers that are in there now. It's probably close to 50 flight reviewers are listed in the app. And if you buy the app, and then when you're booking your flight review with one of those 50 people in the app, and say, I use Drone Pilot Canada app, they will give you at least a 10%. Well, I think a few of the very early ones got away with 5% discount, but now we say at least a 10% discount on your flight review. So it almost pays for itself just on that alone.
Cool. Well, this is a perfect segue back to a question that I believe I had last time, but I don't know if it's changed not yet or not, with the flight review for advanced licensing. A lot of us were talking about DJI only type drones. Is that still a thing? Is there any way that the flight review can be any other drone? Does it have to be DJI itself? Can it not be, you know, if someone has an Autel, or can it be a Cinewhoop nowadays? You know,
it can be any kind of drone, FPV or camera drone, or an RC aircraft. Anything that qualifies as an RPAS that is over 250 grams, because it has to be registered. And honestly, there's no technical reason or logical reason why it has to be registered, other than the fact that they set up the system so that the flight reviewer has to say, and the guy was flying this drone with this registration number on it. So,
but you can't. You have to have registration to pass, because then if you don't, then you're not doing it.
Well, yeah, but you got to be registered anyway. When you do your basic, you register your drone, and then at that time you want to be up to the next level anyway.
Yeah,
so registering step one, you fail if you don't do step one.
That's right. It's on the list of things that you have to check off as a flight reviewer. You have to go through the list.
Yeah,
and one of the questions is, was their drone registered? Yeah. So I get the registration number before I even proceed to the flight review for sure. Yeah, and Don's right. Anything that's considered a drone or an RPAS that's over 250 grams qualifies. Now, if you have a mini that's under 250 grams, you can just tape a quarter to it or something just to make it over 250, and then register it, and then you can go fly it for your flight review.
Yeah, right. I did a video where I think I used elastic bands. I had a block of wood stuck on top of my mini.
Block of wood. Yeah. So Canadian.
He's a 2x4 there, eh? With some duct tape, eh?
So to be a flight reviewer, is there like a course to take to be a flight reviewer? How does one person with an experience like me go into that kind of?
You pass there's an exam. After you've been an advanced pilot for 6 months, you write an exam, and you pass. You become a flight reviewer, but then to be a flight reviewer, you have to register with a school, right? So you have to be affiliated with a school, and like for Squadrone, which has been accepted by Transport Canada, and then that's a whole process to get that done, but the school has an obligation to train you to be a flight reviewer. Like just because you passed, you're not a flight reviewer yet, because you have to attend 2 flight reviews, and then demonstrate the ability to conduct a flight review to the school, and then that school then vouches for you before Transport Canada that yes, you can be a flight reviewer, and yes, Don, you can be a flight reviewer for my school if you want to.
No thanks. I would hate to be a flight reviewer because I'm very picky, and I would probably fail everybody.
What did you say? There was only 50 reviewers in Canada?
No. There's about 50 flight reviewers in the app.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll be
if there's only 50, they must be busy as hell. You make some good money if there's only 50 of them.
Yeah. So one other point, Marcel, back to your question about can you fly anything? I think the key thing is that because most people are flying camera drones, you know, for whatever reason.
Most flight reviewers.
Yeah, and most flight reviewers are coming from that background.
Right.
If you're not going to fly a regular, if you like drone, you should talk to the flight reviewer in advance and say, guess what? I've got a 20-foot wingspan B-52 that I'm going to be flying at my flight review.
So,
is that okay with you?
right, yeah.
Big
No.
Beast class quadcopter.
Yeah, because
Or 3D helicopter.
3D quad.
I'll just take him on a long range trip up the mountains, and he'll be.
There you go. Yeah. So I think it's important to establish that any sort of anything that's off the beaten track, have the chat with your flight reviewer in advance, because you don't want to
cover
for the to arrive or get together and the guy says, I have no idea what that is or what I should be testing you on or anything else. I mean, most flight reviewers are versatile in that respect, but some are not. And like you said, there's some that'll say your checklist is not on a clipboard, out the door. That's crazy talk. Yeah.
Or on your phone.
Yeah,
totally
crazy talk.
Okay. And I think we already mentioned the RPAS Visual Observer course too, right? We've talked a little bit about that. I didn't really remember exactly how expensive it is or anything like that. Or
well, it's free.
It is free. Wow.
It's free. You can send your friends to go take it. They just they watch the video, they do the 25-question quiz, and then I email them the certificate, they print it off, and then they get their pilot to endorse it, and then their VO.
Awesome.
So like I said, you the night before, you could just say to your visual observer that you're going to go do a job, right? Then the thing is though, then that your visual observer's competent, or at least they know what they should be doing, right?
Right.
So that kind of takes you off the hook, and I think that's important if you look at the regulations, because we are talking about 6 months in prison and $5,000 in fines, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just so much reminds me of a completely unrelated story. So I apologize for taking us off track. But I needed to fix an eaves trough on a rental cottage that I owned, and the rental cottage was right on the water. So to get up on there, I needed to have my ladder in the water and leaning up against the side of the cottage. So I had my son, who was I'd say probably 12 at the time. I said, Dad's going up on this ladder. I need you to hold it and make sure that I don't fall off, and kind of slippery rocks and all that. So I'm up there and I ask him a question and he doesn't answer. And I look down and he's like wandered off. He's fishing around in the water. I said, "What are you doing?" Well, there was a crayfish. I'm trying to catch it. He said, "Well, you're supposed to be holding my ladder." Visual observers.
Yeah. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, guys.
In the chat. I would not find
Visual Observer free course. So just
Nice.
check that out, guys. Share the link out. All you Canadians, get on it. I will be saving that link for later on tonight or tomorrow to do.
How Ducks Fly has a question there. Up above, How Ducks Fly says, "Is there a link to the new rules?" Not exactly sure what rules.
So I've got videos on my channel to explain what the new regulations, the proposed new regulations are, and so that hasn't come out yet. The new regulations don't come out until 2025. The final rendition of them will be announced very late next year, 2024. And then they'll take effect. I think it's April the 1st of 2025. I will be an old man when that comes about, but older man.
You can do it.
Yeah. But I mean, the gist of the new regulations, there's I think 11 key things. Most of them are focused on creating I'll call a regulatory framework for larger drones and for commercial drones flying beyond visual line of sight, and large drone companies. So they've created a bunch of regulations and stuff like that around those. So drones over 25 kilograms, right at the moment, you have to have an SFOC, a Special Flight Operations Certificate. Well, under the new regulations, there's a whole bunch of rules that are very specific for that class of drone up to 150 kilograms. So which are, a lot of certainly if you're doing any sort of long range stuff, whether it be delivery or not, you're going to be into that kind of class. So most of the regulations are around that. There's a couple of interesting little twists that they've put together or proposed for advanced pilots and only advanced pilots to allow them to do what I would call stuff we're already doing, such as flying around a building. So, it's a relatively safe operation because you're relatively close, but you are out of visual line of sight. So under this new regulation, you're allowed to do that with, some basic parameters around that. Right. And a similar, that's called sheltered operation, I believe. And they've also got a very low risk operation where you can, if you're an advanced pilot, you can fly up to, I think it's 5 kilometers out of visual line of sight, as long as you have a trained visual observer who can see the airspace where your drone is. So you're basically working in a tandem operation where your visual observer, even if they can't see the actual drone, they can see the airspace to make sure that there's not a helicopter approaching or anything like that kind of thing. So that's called the extended visual line of sight rule. So
I have a question.
I thought that was
relating to
I thought that was already in.
No, that doesn't come into effect until 2025.
Okay.
I was going to say, it sounds like something a lot of long-range pilots currently already do.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I thought I saw something.
Canada is the first country to have like VLOS laws coming for the operator.
Yeah,
which is actually, I think that's quite exciting, and I've already been starting to plan out aircraft to do VLOS like training with extended VOs too. So I think that's we're going to be the forerunners of that, and I think that's exciting for us because no other country's doing it.
Not only is that exciting, it's important too, because that means
it is
that other people will be looking at it, and we don't want to fuck it up for the rest of the world.
We got to do it right.
Yeah, that's what I
for
mean.
sure.
Yeah, people will be following our lead.
This is us doing long range on the top of a hillside, way farther away from.
I think Falcon Rad needs a vest though.
Yeah, it would have been better to find because I had to search around for me a little bit. I was confused.
You couldn't find your own.
So I'd be like, "Oh, which yellow dot?"
Can you hear it?
Oh yeah, but
you get some flares.
You can see me just now, a little green dot in the green.
Oh, there you are. Yeah,
there you go. So get yourself.
I usually wear red or something, and usually the red sticks out like a thumb. But yeah, that's us perched on top of a hillside for the long range of the dreams, which you've all seen in my videos recently. Which I have a new one coming out, so check that out.
Awesome.
But yeah, we definitely have our visual line of sight and our visual observer always with us when we're doing our long range. So check mark on that one. Yeah. Cool. Well, if you have you guys had any other questions for these two, feel free. The time is now. Anybody in the chat? This is why I fly iNav, so you know where your home is. Yep. Well, even the GPS that I put on that drone has an arrow, so it's the same idea. It tells you where you are, but sometimes you're just like, well, I don't see me. It was pretty tough in the.
I have to agree that I always wear a bright color if I'm flying somewhere new.
Yeah.
Just so I can figure out where I took off from. Like where am I? Where's my takeoff spot.
Yeah.
There you
You'll
go.
find
red
yourself.
hat. Blue shirt and a red hat. That'll stick.
That's why I have an orange. That's why I have an orange hat, so I know who I
Orange
am
hat.
when I'm looking down.
Yeah.
Right.
You get a strobe light on your hat.
Yeah.
Strobe.
Yeah, that would work.
You
Yeah.
know,
A little hard when you have goggles on to have a red hat on, but
when some of the new
Yeah.
DPI drones came out with this, what are they? I don't remember what they call it. Some sort of augmented reality where they show, you know, a little H where the home point is.
Yeah.
I thought it was a complete gimmick, but I fly the Mini 4 Pro and it's got that in it. And it's like, it's so handy. It's like, you know, you're flying around.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, okay, that's where home is. And
Yeah.
it's just instant. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so simple, and yet it's so powerful.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to play a couple of videos here to end the stream. I really thank you guys for hanging out with us in chat.
Oh, are you going to do
It's been a
the
blast.
T-shirt one? Are you going to do the T-shirt video? Please. I had so much fun filming that.
The Apaches.
I did see
You
it.
should have been a
It was
filmmaker.
pretty ridiculous.
Hey, Oscar
Totally ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
and Robert Ortlep. Kiss, Ultra. Patooey.
All right.
You're watching Koala FPV.
So this is another Ontarian who would have been with us tonight, but he had to work tonight. But he's our new second co-host for the show. But yeah,
He's programming in Fortran. All right.
Yeah. Is Fortran still a thing? I'm
No.
not a computer guy, but I remember hearing about it.
Nobody programs in machine language anymore.
That was like
Fortran is
tapes, right? Like with the big
It's the work
computers
of
with the
God.
tapes. The
Yeah.
reel.
Yeah.
Totally.
Punch cards.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't make mistakes when you have to punch it.
Yeah.
Were those birds just before it switched?
Thanks for Blue Falcon Air. Well, good to see you in the chat, buddy. I'm gonna give you a wrench here. See somebody else chat. There he is.
Fun Purple, definitely a
Beautiful long
kind of
range.
reckless. A tropical island.
Ooh, look at the colors pop there.
Hopping.
I often forget what analog looks like to fly in. I flew analog for my first year and then jumped right to digital.
Right.
Where is it?
Turn off the auto exposure.
Do you know where this was filmed?
You know what? I do not know exactly. I know it's near Toronto, maybe London area. It's been a long time since I've been
Yeah,
up
he's.
in the woods.
Where's Koala again? Koala's near Newmarket? I can't remember now.
He was. I think he's closer to London /
Oh, he's down
somewhere else.
southwest more. The tropical part of Ontario.
Where the bananas grow, yes, in London.
Yeah.
I was born in London.
I just can't get over whose bright idea was it to name a town Guelph?
I used to
Guelph.
work in Guelph.
Like it's the sound you make when you vomit. Guelph. Right? Like I can never, like, every time somebody says I'm going to
Never heard anybody
Guelph,
say
I'm like,
that.
oh, are you all right? It's like, I don't. Was that somebody's name, like Sir Guelph of Guelphington?
It
or
must have
something?
been. It must have been, yeah.
Because I don't know. It's just I can't not think of that whenever I think of Guelph.
If you know Guelph, there used to be a strip joint, like restaurant, like in Manson. My brother used to work there. My brother's like 10 years difference and stuff with his stepbrother. Anyway, he used to work there as a bouncer. And
Oh no.
I ended up actually dating a chick from the strip joint just after it
Oh
closed
no.
down. Yeah, just after it closed down.
Is that the Breslaw? Not the Breslaw.
No, I can't remember the name. It was like right on the corner by the highway.
But can you remember?
Hey, I
her
know this
name?
one.
Yeah, another beautiful shot from Mr. Don Joyce. I like the colors in this one too.
Woo-hoo. Yeah, it was a pretty good showing of colors this year around where we were. The only problem was it was raining the entire time.
Well, of course, same here. This was filmed, I think, if I recall correctly, like the beginning of October. So
Yeah.
only, I zeroed in on a few little patches that were in full bloom.
Yeah.
But it was all filmed like within 10-minute drive of where I live. So
Nice.
That's really nice. Yeah. Good colors.
Woo-hoo.
and all
That's
in
the
one
one
day.
thing I really like about the DJI style camera drones is the actual being able to look down and up with the camera, and you get that
The
totally different
gimbal.
type of scenario, or not scenario, but different type of shot.
Yeah.
Like
Have you seen the gimbal on Medlin drones? There is a system that you can
Yeah,
put
that's
on your
pretty-
FPV.
Oh yeah.
With head tracking. Yeah.
With head tracking, yeah. So
Wow.
That would be
I think that would be more disorienting than anything else.
Yeah,
I think for a
love how the
drone it's hard, but
truck-
it'd be really cool for a wing. If
Yeah.
you built like a scale model, like with the cockpit and everything, you could like looking out at your motors. And have you seen some of
I
those
think,
videos
I
online?
think there's some. I've seen a couple of
People do.
videos where people have had RC planes where they have the head tilt.
Yeah.
I think on a
Andy
quad-
RC does that. If you want to go check out Andy RC,
Yeah,
he's got a build he did with a couple servos.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
seen a couple that are
got a
almost-
Medlin kit myself. I'm going to set it up one of these days.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I've seen a couple of videos where you could almost be tricked into thinking you're flying in the plane, like looking out through the window. And
Oh yeah,
with the
for
dash in
sure.
front of it.
Yeah.
Like it's been they're getting pretty good at building them so they look just right, you know. Yeah, I saw one with a twin engine, like a Mitchell or a B-52 or something. You could look out and look at the two engine
Wow.
nacelles.
Neat.
I think there's a lot of like from the film side of me,
Mhm.
there's a lot of shots you can get with a tilting camera.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even just with one axis, you can still do your yaws, right? So you can do
Mhm.
a dolly shot or a rocket shot, and then just have it tilt down.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
lot, and when you're filming, you want to make sure you want to get a good framing of your shot. So
Yeah.
like a lot of times when people are chasing cars, your drone tilts, right?
Mhm.
And then you have to go you have to catch up to the same speed to the car, and then you tilt more, and then you lose the car because you're tilting down. If you could tilt up, with your head, then you'd be able to capture the shot, get good framing. And there's no other way to do it other than having at least one axis on your FPV drone, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Filmmaking.
I've heard a lot of people complain about that doing chase footage. Chase
Yeah,
footage is
exactly,
huge
right.
because
But you may
keep
have
that
to get
speed,
that.
you have to keep that speed. You're doing like 30-40 degree angle chasing a Ferrari or something like that,
I to be 100% honest, anything I chase is at like 45 degrees. Like I'll up my camera angle.
That's
depending
cranked,
on-
man. That's
But I mean, but if they take
But I fly
off on
at
you,
30.
right? If they take off on you, you got to go faster, and then you're tilting down.
Yeah.
So you got to get
Well, that's
them
the
to
thing,
the
right?
right
When
speed
you-
too.
when your speed changes, your angle
Definitely
changes.
depends on the
so-
situation and the person you're chasing too. Because there's a couple times I did that mud race footage, and I was too slow, and then all of a sudden I was too fast, and then I was too slow
Yeah.
because everyone has their own speeds, right? It's like sometimes one got stuck in the mud, and then you just like boom right past them. You're like, damn it, you just don't know. So yeah, it's hard chasing stuff.
I did a little bit of flying with the Lombardi Kart Club over the summer. I had a chance. I got made a couple of friends with the owners while I was on the track and chased a couple of kids in go-karts.
Cool.
I'm like really good power gas go-karts, and I flew at about 30 degrees and ended up I went from 4S batteries to 6S batteries, which is what I'm flying now. And that made
Need that juice.
the biggest difference in the world to go like 6 minutes on a track at 30 degrees at like 3/4 stick the whole time.
That's a
always
good
go to
point. 'Cause
8S.
you can set the angle if you know the speed that you're going to be going at. You can do some
Right.
test
Yeah,
runs,
but if
right?
it changes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can always tilt your camera.
Somebody, I think
That's a
that
cheat.
Medlin drones that came out of that gimbal, they had that. It was a downhill mountain bike race. where
Yeah.
the drone is chasing him through the forest, and he speeds up and slows down, and but he always keeps them right in the middle. You know, which you can't do with a fixed camera angle.
I think the one shot that he had
going downhill.
there's one shot where he goes over a basketball hoop, right, and then he looks down, and then he goes down through the basketball hoop, and that really be hard to do with. You do it blind any other way, right? Because if you're going down, right, like he can tilt down and look where he's going. It's like the Avada. You could do the same thing with the Avada.
The Avada has
you can tilt where you're going.
You can tilt the gimbal on that, can't you? On the Avada?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's one of the advantages of that's the only kind of the FPV that would do what we're talking about here, where you can tilt your angle and get your shot.
He also now has a FPV foot pedal tilt control.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh wow, what does that do? Oh, for controlling the tilt.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is
rather than using it on your head.
To be controlling all at once, though, for me.
It definitely wouldn't be a tool for hardcore freestyle. I don't think you'd ever want to gimbal on a hardcore freestyle rig. It would just overcomplicate it.
That's what I'm thinking. A head tilt would be bad. On freestyle, because you would, if you spun around and looked up, like, I mean,
it's just you're confusing everything at that point.
I actually find you can make yourself quite sick if you're holding the drone. Like I've walked around holding the drone and walked to a car and been like,
oh yeah, I've tried doing that walk across the backyard with the drone with the goggles on. No, too weird.
I gotta jump
out over Nanaimo.
I'm at the end of my night. I gotta head for bed.
Okay, man. Thank you very much for popping
we'll
in.
miss you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice meeting you, Don.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
See you later.
Who's this flying at night?
This is First Squadron.
Yep.
First Squadron. There's something about the night shots, man. It's like, dead sexy. Can never get enough of night flying.
I know, I love it.
You know, where I live, if I filmed something like this, people would think I left the lens cap on. You know, it's like you wouldn't see anything.
Man, same here. The nearest street light to me is like a kilometer away, so it's just one at the side of the road.
That's actually an interesting thing. I think mine would be 4 kilometers away. The nearest.
Oh wow, yeah, you're in the sticks too.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, g'day. The Australian contingent has arrived.
That's Mostar Road at the bypass. That's an industrial area.
Whoa.
What's happening here? Is that a transition or?
Yeah, I just put a warp in there.
Okay. What just happened?
Yeah. It's not Jello.
Whoa. I gotta
That's
stop
what
smoking
happens
so much
when
pot.
you're an FPV world stream for too long. You get all funky.
Nice.
That's super cool, though. It's really trippy.
Now I'm trying to find out where to land.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now you need the strobe on your hat.
Yeah.
Your one shot's not
Where
gonna help.
am I?
Yeah, off grid has a speed, I think.
But you could just do a return to home.
across
across
the strait.
Actually, I think there's street lights by my house, so I just found the street light that I had to go down to. But yeah, it was a very dark night.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you know the roads, right? You can follow
Yeah.
the road home.
Yeah.
Follow the roads. Yeah. I remember one time I was flying my Mavic 2 Pro, and it's got the automatic landing light on it, and I forgot that about the landing light. So I'm flying it at night, and I'm coming in, and and I'm kind of looking at where it is. Suddenly, this light goes on. It's like you're spotted by the police, and because it's quite
It's like
bright.
Close Encounters.
Yeah. I give up.
No wonder there's been so many alien sightings around your place lately.
No kidding, eh? That was really cool. Cool flight, man. That was awesome. I like night flights. Different perspective too. It's really cool. Seeing Nanaimo all lit up like that. Nanaimo. Famous for the Nanaimo bars.
All the bars.
Send us
in
some Mars,
Nanaimo.
man.
Yeah.
Send us some, please. I'm begging you.
So
Well, they're everywhere, aren't they? I mean,
Oh, they are everywhere, but there's,
Yeah.
we got him in
when you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
have a Nanaimo bar, you should have a Nanaimo bar from Nanaimo,
true. Oh, there we
There
go.
you
Messenger.
Doing some long overdue testing today.
That's super crazy.
That would be cool for your setup, I think, buddy. You could, when you're doing your long range, looking for
Doing some
goats.
long overdue testing today.
Yeah.
This is a foot pedal.
I mean, you don't have to use it. I mean, you could just, you know what I mean? Unless you really wanted to, like, look down, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Was on the
you know,
pedal,
so-
right? Like when he's doing his long range, you could sit there and be like, "Oh, I see a bear," and go over and check it out.
Right.
Who don't like the idea of head tracking.
And
'Cause I wonder
it's,
if you could put the GoPro on it too.
and I mean,
That'd be,
it's not a lot of weight. Like a servo is like 9 grams. I mean,
Yeah.
not how much weight, but like for a little, drone camera,
Yeah,
even a 5 gram servo will do it. And then the TPC.
I
plastic
wonder if a
ring.
9-gram servo with a GoPro mount that's adjustable and loose enough.
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, you'd have to print
two
out.
servos.
You have to check. You'd have to do some research, I think. And
Totally. It'd be cool though. It's a great idea.
Wow,
I would
wow,
definitely want them to pack together.
I think if you had it on an axis and then you had the servo kind of pushing the fulcrum, I think that would, rather than having it mounted on the servo, just have an arm to a pivot and then have it.
Right.
So, you
So
get
the
some
weight,
leverage.
so it's the weight's on the drone, and then the arm just pivots it back and forth, so the weight displacement is separated.
Yeah, the GoPro's on a hinge.
Yeah.
You could almost use the hinge mount that the GoPro.
Right. Yeah. You could. Yeah.
The
that
finger
would be,
mount.
It'd be cool. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think you'd have to upgrade it with
Instead of
like
a screw, having
some sort of
standoff.
a bearing,
Just standoff. Yeah,
a
loose.
bearing at a certain tension.
A bearing
think
or
it-
like what do you call them? They have like inside of a skateboard wheel.
Maybe
There's
if
like a
someone
spacer,
really hated the
and
idea of
it's
head
something that
tracking
just
for
a
some
little
reason,
pole that goes in
which I
between,
would- I
right?
would-
That connects
I
but
would
doesn't.
really want that person
tighten
to
down
try
at
head
all.
tracking before making that
Yeah.
conclusion.
All you need tightening is
Clever.
the servo, and that'll give
Yeah, if
it.
someone just really
stiffness.
couldn't do it, this might.
That's the head tracking unit right there. The MCU. I've got that unit right. I guess he's just put it on a little pivot. Like he's just stuck the head
Yeah,
tracking
he's
unit
changed
on
the input.
a
Oh,
probably from his mom's sewing machine. She probably calling him,
He's got
"Hey,
the
I need to
GoPro
use the
there.
sewing machine."
He's got the GoPro there on it.
The first time I ever tried.
Took him out, but you can still use it. I left the cable on it.
He's got a GoPro 10 right there on it.
And you can.
Oh,
you
right,
can
yeah.
control the
Yeah, there you go.
gimbal that way.
But I think he, like, if you look at his kits, that's a bigger servo.
It looks pretty big, yeah.
But I think you could get away with the
Leave it
pivot. Like, I think there's some engineering improvements to be done there.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd still
That's
be
a
worried
cool
about doing
idea.
any hardcore freestyling with it because the torque would
Yeah,
wrench it off
no,
the top of your drone pretty fast.
for sure.
Not
And if
for
you
that.
did like womp it, you would wreck the whole system, right? And then you'd be floppy.
Yeah. No, it's a do not.
Well,
crash this
the
drone.
servo is actually, you're right, but the servos will free, but they actually use energy to keep their position.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll drain the battery if it's kind of like, trying to keep its position and it's using the gears to keep it in that spot, and then the wind's like pushing it, and it's
Yeah.
Sure.
the motor compensates for any looseness, I guess, because it'll pivot to the right orientation.
Mhm.
So that's one of the downsides, right? If you balance it right, you won't use as much battery power on it.
Mhm.
So I
I'm
really
guessing,
wanted
too,
to get
Just like in a handheld gimbal thing.
yeah.
If your phone isn't balanced in there, it's just constantly chewing. Yeah.
Wonder if you could just put it on a pot on your handheld, your handset. The gimbal. That'd be handy.
It would be nice if it was just on one of the sliders on the sides of the TX16S, because that's
Yeah,
all
exactly.
It's just a little finger slider.
The shoulder
for those who
sliders?
don't
That'd be
have
amazing.
That. I will show you real quick.
Yeah, any switch. I'm sure it can be done. I'm sure he's thought of
Because
it.
you're already holding the radio like this. So if it was this
Yeah.
switch right here, it would make sense.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Because your hands are already loose, and these fingers are already loose enough.
Your hands are loose. Mine are clutching them with a death grip, like just.
I'm a relaxed pilot, man. My fingers are already in this situation, so they're already covering them.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's
Super
right
easy
in the right
me to
spot
put
for
like
it.
that.
You
But
can
then
mount it right. You
after-
can mount it probably right here, right, and then
Yeah.
just
But then you got to take your hand off.
Yeah, anywhere you want. A little bit
and
of
then tilt
Velcro.
down, tilt up.
Oh, I see
Be
what you're
fun.
saying. Yeah, for the actual
Mhm.
mounting of it. Yeah, there's lots of options. I think it'd be really cool. It's a great idea. I've thought about it. I even have it saved on my computer.
I am planning on building a rad lion for long range.
Yeah,
Do I go all
You
out
make it
with
fatter?
the gimbal?
can
Make
make
it, make
the
it the
gimbal.
raddest of lions?
You definitely want the gimbal.
The raddest of lions.
Yeah, I don't know though. My GoPro 10, I think, would be pretty heavy for it. I would have to figure out a mid-size servo or something. System.
Go naked.
No,
Is that against the Canadian drone rules? Are you allowed to fly naked? As long as you've got your vest on.
Your GoPro.
no, you should do that part, yeah. Well, on that note, guys, I really appreciate everybody being here. I had a great time. Lots of great information. Lots of links in the chat. I will put them in the description later on tonight, so that tomorrow morning it'll be
Sweet.
refreshed with some links. If you two gentlemen have any links you want me to share, please remind me.
I'll send you the link for the VO course. I
Yeah.
encourage people to
Sweet.
take advantage of that for their VOs. Or become a VO yourself, right? Get the
Yeah.
certificate.
I think you have the link for the shirts. Do you, Marcel, or do you want me to send
Yep.
it?
I got the link for the shirts, but if you remind me again, I will set everything up tonight or tomorrow morning. If you send an email, I'll
Okay.
Discord if you wanted to do Discord. This guy for Squadrone.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again for everybody, and Danzilla, once again, thank you for your awesome hospitality and your mic didn't work out at all the entire time. That's
Not at
awesome.
all.
Just kidding. Oh, that's cool. Your own 3D printed Godzilla. Nice.
Yeah, it's the rusty stuff too. I haven't rusted them yet though. It's the iron filled PLA. So I gotta scratch them up and make them rust.
I have an entire box of 3D printed Christmas stuff.
Oh,
And
I thought you were gonna say butt plugs.
Little snowmen. with
Nice.
arms. Well, they're definitely butt plugs. Even like little tiny.
That one would hurt.
Oh,
stuff for Christmas.
I like that one. Yeah, those deep.
Nice.
Yeah, there's even
Those
like
printed
a
place
dancing
ones are
snowman-
nice.
Dancing snowman where his body moves and his head stays
Yeah.
on the string.
Oh, nice.
Kind of neat. Little gingerbread man. All kinds
Nice.
of stuff.
What
This one
kind
actually
of
is
sparkly
for-
filament is that?
It's Galaxy.
Is it
filament.
sparkly? From where?
I did a bigger playmaker. This one's my favorite because this guy prints just like this off the build plate. Nothing I need
That's
to fix
amazing.
on it. And the best part is
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
it's a moving.
It works. That's a good
yeah.
printer test if it can do that, eh?
There's like a space in the back of his head that has room for it to actually
Mhm.
move.
It's a good test for your
Frightening
printer.
Okay.
If you can't do that, something's off.
And then of course I've got one for Christmas as well. And this is the elf on the shelf type of little guy.
Nice.
Creepy looking doll.
Would you say that was Polymaker Galaxy? Polymaker
Yep,
Galaxy.
Polymaker Galaxy filament. Yep.
Is
all
it a
kinds of
silk
different
or is it a
No, it's just a regular
multicolor?
PLA.
Yeah, it looks so
Called
shiny.
Galaxy. Yeah, just called Galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun.
Anyway,
Polymaker
that's show and tell.
Neptune.
There we go. There we go.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Luke.
good night. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Love
See
you
ya.
all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for your brain juice.
brain juice. Yeah, totally.
Brain juice. They share our brain